twitch.tv/Diamondflavor. So this one is another one that I'm super hyped for, Path of Exile 2. So I'm not a Path of Exile Andy actually. I'm pretty much still a beginner. I have maybe around less than 500, 600 hours on Path of Exile. And that's not like a gatekeepy thing. That's just how Path of Exile is built. It's just that massive of a game. You gotta remember it's been out since 2013, so it has a literal decade of like content and updates. So getting into the game as a new player, or you can still be considered a new player even if you have 1,000 hours in the game, right? Maybe veteran is around 2,000 to 2,500 hours in the game. I played a bit of the newest league, 3.22 Trial of the Ancestors. I've only managed to hit yellow map so far. I think I'm about like level 86. I guess I could show it, but I don't want to like log in right now. I'll put it in post for the YouTube video. Anyway, so I was able to play a bit of the new league, but I haven't been able to commit as much time to it as I would like because of a lot of the new games, that came out, like Remnant 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 came out right before the league, I think. So it's just so many things to play. And then now AC, Armored Core 6 just came out, right? So ARPG, like Path of Exile is at the top of the food chain, and you really have to commit if you want to get to that end game, right? That's not to say that you can't enjoy just the campaign and casually play it for a few hours. I believe you still could. Like I play this game, I've been playing the new league maybe 1 to 2 hours whenever I can just to relax, off stream. It's very good for that. So I encourage a lot of people who are curious to try it out. Don't be afraid. I know it is daunting, but just remember that it's daunting because of how much information is being thrown at you and how the systems interact with each other. But trust me, like take it slow, do one thing at a time. Go if it's your first time or if you're a new player, go into it with a mindset of take things one at a time. Don't come into it thinking that you're gonna beat the game in one go, in one season, that's it. You'll just be overwhelmed. Take things as they come. But yeah, let's check out this new Druid gameplay for PoE 2.
Basically, here we have 5 different characters that we're showing on the demo. These top 4 we were showing at ExileCon when we had it a few weeks ago. This last one here is the Druid, which is the one that we're mostly sort of showing as the new character for Gamescom. And effectively, I guess one of the sort of primary things we want to get across to people is the sort of different combinations between skills. This is like an instruction sheet.
What's this? Instruction sheet. Lightning Storm is along... Oh, okay, so now they're giving Bear Maul generate rage. A volcano fires projectiles around itself and lasts a long time. Hold the button down for longer to fire more initial projectiles. While your spells are active, transform into a bear. Bear Maul to generate rage. Rampage to slam the ground repeatedly while consuming rage. Furious Slam. Ferocious Roar. Near stunned enemies to empower your slams. Will trigger more projectiles. Okay, so they interact with each other and you can do some cute little combos. I like that. Summon wolves, distract enemies. And just... So this is the thing that the biggest hurdle that Path of Exile has is how it presents you and teaches you about the game or general information about the game. So I think this is a good start, like a step in the right direction. There's still quite a lot to like absorb, obviously, if you're a new player. Like, what the fuck? You're just bombarded with all these skills. But I think having these things, especially they're in-game. So in PoE 1, a lot of the resources you would use to learn about the game, unfortunately, you have to get outside of the game from like different content creators or like websites or guides like that, right? So again, the biggest flaw of PoE is the delivery of the information to you, the player, but the information itself is golden. Like the systems that they have, the gameplay mechanics, the gameplay loops and everything like that. Crafting, all of it is amazing. It's so hard to digest because it's not properly presented to you or taught to you in game.
Is used for in the consumer booth, so you can sort of know what you're doing. But I'm just going to go to one of the islands here.
Was that wrong? What the fuck? Wait, sorry.
Is used for in the consumer booth,
Alva?
so you can sort of know what you're doing. But I'm just going to go to one of the islands here in Act 4 and show you what the Druid can do.
Great. I'm very excited.
In Act 4, you have a boat and you sort of can go to whatever of the different islands you want. They have all different like, stories that you can find out about. And in the demo, we've got a few of them.
Oh, dude, the art design is like super improved from the first game. I think this competes because I still find, despite the many problems it has, Diablo 4 is definitely still the sexiest ARPG. I'm not talking about Lilith, okay? calm down, boys. I'm talking about just the general as art quality, art design of the game, and not even counting the cinematics, right? Because it's hard to compete with a company that has so much budget. But just in general, like the character designs, the cosmetics, the world design. I think Diablo 4 is still it's S tier, it's still the best. But seeing this, like even little things like this, you know, I don't know if other people pay attention to it. Maybe, you know, maybe a lot of people don't care. I mean, I might be in the minority, but little things like this, actually, sorry, I'm not on full screen. Little things like this really sell you more on the world, right? And the game, like being immersed in the game. It's not the most important, obviously, but you feel it when it's there and you feel it when it's done right. So I love like this new map that they have for the different acts. I'm assuming so far so good.
There's more than just these ones, but this is what we'll do for the time being. So this is the Isle of Kin, which is an area that is a sort of like volcanic island with a whole bunch of goblins on it. As we get here, we can show it off. So this being the Druid, it's kind of a hybrid spellcaster. So you've got both spells, and you also have a bear form. Well, in fact, more than a bear form. You have other different animal forms. So the thing people are often here for is you know, this kind of stuff. Is this kind of stuff. So if you are in bear form, you can you know, obviously run around. Using spells is also sort of important, and what we want to really do is make it easy for you to go from sort of spell casting mode to bear mode very quickly. So what I can do here is if I slam down, when you use your bear form, so when you use a bear skill, you immediately just when you use a bear skill, you turn into a bear and you do the skill. When you use a spell, you sort of automatically transform and use the spell. So there's no like sort of having to manually transform from one to the other. You just use this use the skill and it does it.
Okay, so they're doing the D4 thing where shape-shifting is like a transient kind of thing, I guess. Not necessarily bad. I usually prefer just to choose like staying in bear form or like staying transformed all throughout and then switching back whenever I want. Like I want to be the one to toggle it. But, you know, trying a different, not necessarily like different approach, right? But they're trying it themselves, the more fluid Druid shape-shifting style of gameplay. So, yeah, that's fine.
There's like a sort of slight time penalty. So if you do multiple bear things in a row, that's going to be more efficient because when you transform, there's like a little time penalty, about 500 milliseconds for the transform. So you're kind of incentivized, therefore, to like... you know, like use some spells, do what you're doing there, then turn into a bear, and then do that too.
What's happening there when he transforms is his material form is just becoming a bloody pulp?
Something like that. Yeah, you can also, when you dodge roll, you can instantly transform back into your character. You can even do it mid-transform if you want, so at any time you can just kind of abort what you're doing and do it. And it's really important because in PoE, we really wanted to, PoE 2 that is, we really wanted to make sure that anytime you're feeling threatened, you can always just dodge roll to get out of there, and you're never interrupted from doing that.
And just what's the cooldown timer on your dodges?
No cooldown. You can just do it as long as you want. So just hold the button down.
Very nice.
Yeah. Hold the button down and roll away to your heart's content. There's actually, you know, originally when we made the bear, we made it so that you could dodge roll as a bear, and the animation was so fun that we decided to keep it, but just in town. So in town, you can do your roll.
That's so cute.
It was so funny, but we're like, we don't have anything. We don't have anything to do with this, so we'll just throw it in town.
Right.
So anyway, let's do an abridged version of what I do in that demo room here. So effectively, what we want to make sure, as I said, is that all the skills can be used together. So
big boy
this slam here causes you to stun enemies, and I've got another skill here that does a roar. And if there's any stun enemies nearby, it gives you what's called an exerted attack down here.
Okay.
And exerted attacks mean that when you do another slam, it gets doubled. So you see here, I got 2 slams out of that. So just to show you that again, it's a slam, and then I do the roar, and then any other skill I use, including this like rampage skill here, which does like a lot of slams. I can do like a huge amount of damage. So normally when I cast this, I just get, you know, like slam, 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 slam. But if I stun people, get the exert, wrong button. If I stun people and get the exert, then when I'm doing it, it's slam, 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 slam. You know, like it's doubling the number.
Okay. Oh wait.
Also really handy because I have a few other skills I can send over with. So one of them here is called the volcano.
Okay.
So when you make a volcano, when you slam down, it
Just finish
emits more
this.
projectiles every time the slam goes off near it, which is quite fun. And of course, if I use Rampage and then Rampage around the volcano, I'm getting a lot of slams. And then even more than that, if I do the Exert combo, get the Exerted attack, cast a volcano, and then do a Rampage, now I'm getting an absolute crap ton of projectiles, which annihilates bosses very easily.
So yeah, just wanted to finish that point. All right, I have two minds about this, right? It's generally positive though. People might not want to hear this, but this is coming from my experience playing Genshin Impact, right? So what I loved about the gameplay in Genshin Impact was the ability of the elements to interact with each other that created more powerful attacks and combinations. And I've been waiting for games to explore that more. I'm sure there are games that have done it. I haven't played every game, obviously, so forgive me if I'm misremembering or if I don't know right now. But from my experience right now, Genshin's the only one that's done it really to the point where I remember it at least. So I'm really excited to see games, especially ARPGs, implement this because I feel like on the one hand, they are very perfectly poised to take advantage of a system like that. And seeing this now, like the roar, right? You buff. It kind of gives you a buff and then you slam and then you can do a stronger version of your base skill, basically like the slam, you can do double slams and the volcano, you can summon more projectiles. That it essentially makes the attack stronger, right? So it's a very simple or a more basic form of it. It's not necessarily like elements interact with each other just yet, but the general principle of skills interacting with other skills to amplify each other and like they bounce off each other, they play off each other basically. So I really like that. But on the other hand, I have a little bit of apprehension just because in ARPGs, it's easy. The point of it, like you're basically like a lawnmower. You want like fields and fields of enemies and you just mow them all down. That's the power of fantasy, right? And then you get the loot. Compared to games like Genshin or like Dark Souls or Elden Ring or even Armored Core, where the combat is more focused. Like there could be a bunch of enemies around, but it's just more focused, right? You can focus on one enemy at a time, and so interactions like that can feel better because you don't have sensory overload. You're not overwhelmed by all the different things that are happening on screen. I mean, certain bosses could still overwhelm you if they have a lot of different mechanics and stuff like that. But imagine that in an ARPG, right? So there's even more things going on, and the camera angle can sometimes be a detriment depending on like the color of the effects, and you can't really at least here you can dodge, right? So that's pretty good. But just in general, like ARPGs, that's the one thing that I'm a bit skeptical about when we get to that higher end content, unless we're doing the uber content or like the 1v1 bosses. Maybe this is more like you could do a boss killer build that's focused on, you know, doing all these interactions with the skills. Maybe that's what I'm guessing. But again, it could get overwhelming if you're just trying to mow through a lot of difficult enemies. Maybe you still want those 1-2 button builds for that. 1-3 button builds, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, sorry, super long tangent.
So this kind of thing, once again, we just really want to make sure that you get the feeling that you can use lots of skills, because in PoE 1 it was very common that you just right click and that was kind of all of your interaction, you know. In PoE 2 we want to make sure that there's a lot more different things going on. I also have some wolves which I can use, which is useful because the Druid, being a hybrid, is not necessarily the most tanky character ever. Even though you can turn into a bear, you're still you're not wearing a suit of armor, you know, like a warrior would be, so you do have to be a bit careful, and so that's where the stunning can be really useful to incorporate as a defensive measure. But also because, things like wolves. Also things like Tornado, which I don't have on this version of the character because that's in the demo version. This one's designed for the players to play, and normally you get that as a quest reward a little bit later. So I can't quite show you that. But I've got a Tornado skill that will suck monsters in. It's another sort of tactical option on the battlefield.
I would love to see that skill.
Go on.
What's happening on your health bar there? It looks like you're building up a shield.
What
ability is triggering?
All intelligence characters, that is to say, any armor you're wearing...
wait, let me look at the UI real quick here just to see. I think they've shown it before. Pain Wrap Mantle. Is this... I don't get the color. Is it just locked in for the demo? Like you can't change it, stuff like that? But yeah, I like the little flavor they have going on here on the screen. It might just be me, but I appreciate little details like that as someone who used to want to work as a concept artist in video games. So I studied things like this in school and just by myself. So I like little things like that. Even the new scrolls, although I wish they were the color is more contrasty, like brighter, so that you can differentiate it even more. Because like the blue and the red is very muted and subtle, and combining that with the fact that the scroll isn't like pearly white or like the parchment color anymore. So at a glance, it's a little bit, I mean, you can still tell, right? It's red, this blue, but it's not as noticeable, but like little things like that, yeah. Cool.
So that is to say, any armor you're wearing for intelligence characters has energy shield. So that's just just
Like a
sort of
passive.
standard. Yeah, it's just a thing that you have. So
Okay,
if
that's
I
interesting.
don't take damage for a while, then I get Halo style energy shield building up there.
Cool.
Anyway.
For in characters, right?
Right,
You
so
said
that's
in
like a few of
characters.
those interactions. But I guess another thing that is really nice to have in PoE, this being a game a lot about having interesting interactions, and but also some automation is something that we want to support,
Yeah.
just like in PoE 1. So in the inventory here,
this?
I've got a gem called Cast While Channeling, and I've got my channeling skill, which is this volcano, where if I hold it down,
Okay.
it like bursts out with more projectiles. And ideally what I'd like to be able to do is reduce the number of skills that I need to be using to kind of pull off the combos that I'm doing, because I want to be able to have my lightning going, I want to have my volcano going, I want to be rampaging around and all that stuff. I want to kind of be able to do that stuff together a bit more easily.
Okay.
So I can open the skill screen here and put
Cast While
Cast While
Channeling.
Channeling in here. And when I do
Oh,
that,
do you put the,
I'm going to take Lightning Storm and put that in as well.
Yes.
Hang on, let me just,
When you
get
cast
this
it, the volcano
annoying
like
guy
storm
here.
goes by itself, right?
And now whenever I'm channeling, I'm able to cast Lightning Storm automatically.
Yes.
So I'm going to
Okay.
enable that buff here. And now when I use my volcano, I get the Lightning Storm happening automatically. And that makes a little death zone here that's really handy.
Okay, forget about what I said earlier. Then, if you could do that, automating the combos, like you still have to probably set it up, the beginning of the chain for the combo or the base interactions, but the succeeding interactions with the different skills, you can automate it in different. That is the best just got better, boys. God damn, that makes me so excited, and I'm saying that as someone who barely understands how the skill tree and builds work. And it's one of the unfortunate things, right, of PoE, but it's also one of its biggest strengths. Let's just be honest. That complexity gives rise to so many different options, and at least seeing it here, that one was fairly easy to understand. You put the gem in, cast while channeling, things happen when you channel a channeling skill. So very, very cool, very, very hyped. Damn, that's good. That's good.
And then of course once I've got that, I can be slamming down with the bear and be creating a really nice
Good zone
damage.
control.
Yeah, doing a thing there. So that's really nice. But we actually have another channeling skill. We actually have another channeling skill on the bear, which is this charge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a bit annoying that it triggers the lightning storm as well, because I'd rather have my little death zone that I'm trying to do. And so that's why it's kind of useful that in PoE, any buff that you have, you can choose which weapon sets that you want to have that enabled for.
Oh, yeah, they showed
so if I
this
turn
last
this off as a bear, I'm going to get my spirit back and disables the buff. And now if I change to a human, the buff goes straight back on automatically. Change back to a bear and it falls back off again. Yeah. So any buff you can just choose, like, do I want this to apply? Do I not want this to apply?
Nice.
And then the spirit that I'm reserving is being consumed or not consumed.
Yeah, that helps for clarity when you're like planning out your abilities or
yes,
attacks.
that is a that is a great system, right? Maybe if we think about it now, it might be not necessarily obvious, but it's like, yeah, why didn't we think of that before? So little things like that, it's so hard to keep in mind the many layers of interaction that spells can have with each other. And the thing about turning on and off a spell when you're at a certain form or certain weapon set, right? It might seem simple and you're like, that's so obvious, but I guess it's not, because we're only seeing it now. We don't know the testing and the work that went into the trial and error that went into coming up with that elegant system, right? I would call it elegant. It's simple, but it feels very effective. So making things simple, I think, is often more difficult than just making them complex for the sake of complexity, right? Making things elegant and simple, especially if it's a complex system to begin with, I think is very challenging. So this is a really, really good addition to the game for PoE 2.
what I'm going to do is, because I want to automate more things, I'm going to get cast on melee stun. I'm going to put that in here, and then I get the summon wolf ability that I have. And I'm going to put cast on melee stun with summon wolf. And that means that if I stun enough enemies, I'll be able to cast my wolf automatically, which is really nice because now I don't have to remember to cast my minions all the time. It just kind of happens automatically. And when the wolves first come out, they also do a howl, which causes them to do a crit debuff on monsters. So when I'm going to stun some guys, that wasn't quite enough charge, so I'll set 76% up the top there. There we go. So now I've got a wolf cast automatically, and now as I'm just going through, I'm just getting my wolf summoned without having to do anything.
It's a chance.
There's another one there, and then it's especially good to use it on cast while stunning because that means I can use my exert. Sorry, I put that on the wrong keybind. Some rampage. Where's the war cry? There it is. Sorry, just wrong. Where were we? Okay, right. So I can do my stunning. I get an extra wolf.
And then?
Which I didn't get that time. No, I did. I just didn't notice. Okay, right. So do that again. Get my stun. Get a wolf. And now that I've got that, I can do my exerted attack. With the roar, which I once again failed to do the combo. Because I'm in a bit of a funny setting here. Do the roar, and then I can get the rampage. And the thing is, while I'm doing that, all the monsters nearby are getting that crit debuff on them. So it's kind of a way to get like more for less, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's like a quick introduction to some Druid skills here. But I can also go and let me just find the boss for this area, and we'll see if we can utilize all of those elements. I'll just get some rage, which I need to be able to do my rampage a little bit further. And then we'll rampage over to where the boss is, and we'll do a boss fight here, and so you can see what's going on.
Where's he with the big boy?
Where is the boss? The problem with random levels is you never know quite where the boss will be.
It's okay.
Right, there it is. So this here is an arena that the goblins have made to sort of fight their beasts against each other. And here we have the blind beast. Which is one of an albino version who they've blinded. So here I want to get the, you can see like utilizing all these different attacks here.
You're melting.
Yeah, I can actually melt the boss, exactly. Because I'm getting that the volcano is actually even better. We'll have to run away from that though. It's even better against large monsters because the projectiles hit. Because the area that the boss takes up is larger, more of the projectiles of the volcano are going to hit the boss. So that means that it's actually very advantageous. Oh no, get away from that, Yeah,
it's a bigger target.
Yeah. It's very advantageous to be able to use volcano against a boss like this.
You gotta focus up, don't worry.
Yeah, don't for it. Okay. Alright, so...
you did mention that.
Oh yes, that's what, sorry.
Oh, I almost got him.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah. Okay,
Exactly.
Right, now I need to stun him. Okay, there we go. Got the stun, get the exert, get the rampage. That's what I need to do. He's in the wrong place though. Okay, no, he's alright. He's moving into it. There we go.
Yeah, damage is it's melting the boss.
Alright. Oh wait, no, he's doing that. So what I want to do while he's doing that is do my
channel.
my channel.
And
I can pull him back in, and then I can probably just slam.
Right,
I can probably just slam. Oh yeah, there we go.
Nice.
All right, there we go. So that's the Druid.
That's awesome. Yeah. Can you show me a little bit more about the loot?
There's probably not like a huge amount to talk about there at the moment. I mean, it's very similar to Path of Exile 1 in that regard. I mean, there's a lot of changes under the hood. But I guess one thing that we do want to make sure of is that in PoE 1 we had a problem with like way too many white items on the ground, this kind of stuff. In PoE 2 we really want to improve the loot. There's a few different ways we're addressing that. One of them is gold, which we added. Another one though is that the effect of what's it called, item rarity does a lot more now. So what that means is that bosses are much likely to drop better items rather than more items, which is a better thing for the player. It means you don't have as much spam everywhere. So this particular boss dropped a attribute gaining quest item, so I can use that and get some more attributes. So that's a reason to do one of these side bosses.
The side bosses,
And
good
then if you like,
bonuses.
I can go to a different character class and show you some other stuff there. If you
I would
like.
love that. Let's try.
Yes, please. Wait, what? Why is the video ending? I want to see more. Oh wait, what? 7 minutes of Warrior and Huntress gameplay. Oh shit, I kind of want to see this one next, but let me talk about this one real quick first. Fuck, again, the best just got better. That's all I can say, really. Like TLDR. I'm guessing this is the new resource for, what do you call it? Reservation? Was it like will or something? They said. instead of like seeing your entire mana bar, grayed out basically, or like stone because of you're reserving all those different auras. But yeah, man, Druid, the shapeshifting class for PoE looks very, very exciting to play. I guess just in general though, the new philosophy on, or not new, but refining their philosophy on how skills interact with each other. Again, in my opinion, I feel like it's very elegant especially with the new, or how they're letting you automate it with the gem system that they have. Very, very clean, very, very nice to see. Obviously, if you still want to go with the min max best builds kind of stuff, you're still gonna have to like really maybe still need a PhD in PoE to get to that level. But at least even at base form, right, or at shallow base understanding, I think even new or beginning players like me will be able to play around with it fairly decently. At least it'll be functional, right? I one thing I forgot to talk about while watching this bear here, I really like
so just hold the slams out of that.
The slam animations feel really nice. That's another thing with one of my criticisms for PoE1. Although again, just to put into context, it is a very old game. It can feel very light and weightless. The attacks and the animations, especially if you're a melee class with like stuff like bone shatter and things like that. Right? It's fun to see it like go super fast, but that's one thing I think Diablo, again, testament to their art design and their art team. It feels really weighty with the skills. Like it really feels like, I mean, it's funny though, because they get nerfed, right? So you see this stuff like the 17 damage meme and things like that. But just in general, the feeling that it gives, it feels more impactful. So I like seeing this in PoE a lot.
Show you that again. It's slam, and then I do the roar, and then any other skill I use, including
the rampage as well feels really good, like rampaging around, and just the general aesthetic of the bear. It feels more primal, more raw, more like natural. More aggressive. So very nice to see. Overall, very interesting Druid gameplay. I'm really excited, just in general for PoE, but especially the new classes they're gonna have. So speaking of new classes, there's apparently this other video. I did not know about this one. 7 minutes of Warrior and Huntress gameplay. So let's check it out while we're on the subject of PoE. So I'm actually also really excited for the Huntress. I think the Monk and the Huntress were the ones I'm really excited about. But yeah, Druid is now on my radar as well.
I'll show you another island, I guess.
What class is this?
This is the Warrior.
Okay.
Warrior.
So this is your sort of like quintessential slamming guy. And I'll show you a few of the interactions between the different...
Do I dare say the other game? Is it similar to a B-word character?
I mean, I guess. I guess so. But what's an area we haven't shown much? Maybe Journey's End. There you go. Let's have a look at Journey's End. I'm not sure what's sort of appeared on streams and things like that, and what hasn't.
Oh no.
So we're back. What is Kedge Bay? Different one.
Right. So. I guess one of the things we really want to make sure of with the Warrior is that all of our melee skills kind of have a lot of mobility. So it's kind of like a basic attack. You've got like this kind of thing. Like in PoE1, this would be like stand and do something. In PoE2, it involves a lot of mobility.
Yeah, I like that. Again, little thing. Sorry, go back real quick. The sound design for that really adds to the impact of it.
Kind of have a lot of mobility. So it's kind of like a basic attack. You've got like this kind of thing. Like in PoE1, this would be like stand and do something. In PoE2, it involves a lot of mobility. And the other thing, of course, is just like we were talking about on the Druid, is all the combo type stuff. So on the Warrior, one of the really nice combos to use is Armor Break. So what I can do here is when I hit monsters with Armor Break, it breaks their armor. But then that is used when you... sorry, I managed to run away from that guy. When you attack them with their armor, obviously you're going to do a lot more damage. That's like really like the simplest level. And then the other thing that you can do is that some of the other skills that we have
Deep Slam, standard
things
stuff
that affect armor breaks. They often remove armor break and do something else. So this guy has armor broken right now, and then if I use Leap Slam, okay, somehow I managed to not trigger that. There's a very high chance to do a heavy stun. Apparently, though, that didn't seem to work for that guy, so I don't know what happened there. But yeah, there's a very high chance to heavy stun. There we go. And that means that you can follow up with something that's much more slow. So an example of that kind of thing is we have a thing called Supercharged Slam, which lets you gather a bunch of rocks on your weapon and slam them. So if you just use it like slam, which lets you gather a bunch of rocks on your weapon and...
Okay, I was saying a while ago, right, about the weightlessness of PoE1. PoE2 so far seems very weighty, very crunchy. I love the new improvements that they've made to the sound design, the animation, the little timings that they have when things are, he's doing a way heavier attack, the charge up. All of these little things that normally you wouldn't notice really add to the gameplay feel, like especially gameplay, right? Because it is direct animation, moment to moment animation, basically. So I love it. Like I love what I'm seeing so far right now.
Slam them. So if you just use it like a very short amount of time, you get like 2 slams.
Crunchy.
But the longer you hold it down, the more rocks gather up until eventually you can do like a ridiculous number of slams. So you want to be able to try and stun monsters, ideally, to be able to get that. So getting that, getting the leap slam, and then getting the supercharged slam is a good way to kill monsters. It probably wasn't worthwhile on these like random white monsters, but on a rare it matters a lot. The other thing you can do is sunder. Okay, so if you sunder on an armor broken enemy, so I'll just talk about, so sunder when you normally use it, basically it's a very slow attack that does this like attacks on a line. And it's actually most useful when you have lots of monsters, because every time it hits a monster, it does a little ripple of damage. So if you use it on one monster, it's actually quite weak. But if you use it on a whole pack of monsters,
multiplier,
then because the damage overlaps between each other, I'll just gather a bunch here. It absolutely annihilates them. And so this is a useful interaction. But if you armor break one of the monsters, then Sunder does 500% damage to that monster, and also it does 500% damage to all the monsters that get like from the little wave from those monsters as well. So that means that armor break Sunder can be a really useful way.
Good combo, yeah.
Another one we have here is a Warcry skill, so I'm going to use Infernal Cry. So Infernal Cry puts this little thing on the monsters, and then when you kill them, it causes them to explode, dealing damage to nearby monsters. So it's another kind of good pack clearer. But the other thing that it does is it gives you an exerted attack, which means that your next slam skill is going to do a lot of extra fire damage.
Yeah.
So a good thing to do is to armor break the monster, get the leap slam on that monster to stun them, although apparently once again that monster seems to be broken in this regard, which is very annoying, so I'm just going to move on.
Bugs.
Get the leap slam on the monster, and then do the yell to get the exert, and then do the supercharged slam to get.
Oh, you're about to die. Oh, that was clutch.
So that kind of combo is what you'd be wanting to use if you're fighting a boss, and it's something that can really. Can really help. So yeah, exactly. So you've got to. I guess a philosophy you would say in PoE too is that you really have to earn your single target damage. It's not just a question of like, here's a single target skill, just use it. You really have to like earn that single target by doing a combination of things.
Combos.
And if you do that, you'll be rewarded by getting a lot more damage. In a situation
I like this. I like this new design philosophy.
So some of the stuff you can do on the Marauder.
Or skills.
Sorry, I should know, not Marauder. The Warrior. I've got 2 classes for each of the combinations, and hopefully that's very interesting. One of the things that I like the most
Huntress
is on the Huntress is a skill called Whirling Slash. So the design of this is basically, this is just a little town area, so I can just practice here without any monsters attacking me. But when you use this, it creates this little like whirling storm around you.
Does it follow you?
And the more you use it, the larger the storm gets. And when you exit the storm, it explodes. So it's kind of like a really nice single target. Sorry, not single target. It's a really nice area of effect thing that you can use to kill a whole bunch of monsters. So that's kind of like a non-obvious one as well. So like I can use dodge roll to get out of it. But there's actually more things you can use. For example, if I use this here, I've got a skill here which like makes your character run like maybe you didn't quite see that. Like do like a slash back, and which also traps monsters. So you want to kind of like whirling slash and then get out of there with that one. And then once you're out of there, then you can start throwing the spears from range. So
I really like that. I like skills that incorporate a lot of movement into them. Especially, it fits more because she's like a dex agility character, right? The Huntress. But this reminds me of a game called Lies of P. It's about to come out September 16th, I think. So there was a weapon that allowed me to, when you do the charge attack, it does a step back. So it's a 2-for-1 where you get to damage the opponent, and then built in you have a movement skill that gets you out of harm's way. Of course, it takes some time to get used to because it's I don't think I was able to cancel the animation of stepping back. So you have to time it properly. But I'm getting the same vibe from this one where, some other people might not like it because they don't like control being taken away from the character. And that's true, like in general, right? But I think you can have some skills that have movement incorporated into them, especially now that they're talking about more combinations, right? So
you want to kind of like whirling slash and then get out of there with that.
It looks I mean, I haven't played, right? So I can't say definitively, but from what I've seen, like it feels good to use it in tandem with your other skills, which I guess is the point of their design philosophy, right? With skills interacting with one another. But I just thought I'd point that out because I personally like things like that.
That one, and then once you're out of there, then you can start throwing the your spears.
And of course, the Javazon classic.
So another one that's really useful
The lightning
for
shit.
the Huntress is the spear field.
Spear field.
So when you use this, probably not that useful against zombies because they move so slowly anyway. But you create a field of spears, and they slow down monsters. So if you've got a lot of fast monsters around, then that's a really handy one.
Okay.
And then the other one that's kind of useful is puncture. So puncture. Can be useful for moving from one pack to the other. If I make this thing here, well, there's no other monsters nearby, so that's unfortunate. But effectively, it's a skill that lets you teleport towards monsters like this. And the further away you are when you use it, the more that you're going to bleed. The more that you're going to bleed them. So it can be quite handy to use, depending on the situation. So maybe if I'll sort of do this. So I'm going to create a whirling slash here. I'm going to go out of there, which traps them in, but I can go back in with the puncture to bleed, and then follow up with my more single target rapid assault skill, which has a nice ending damage thing there. So this guy's moving pretty fast, so I'll use Spear Field to slow him down a little bit, and then I can pre-prepare my whirling slash before he arrives. And then maybe like get the mech like this, then go back into the puncture, this kind of thing. So there's a lot of mobility to combat that you can achieve if you kind of know what you're doing, which I honestly don't really that much compared to some people on the team. I haven't done too much practice on this class. But the skill ceiling for PoE2 can be quite a lot higher because of the fact that there's a lot more of the sort of action combat stuff that you can do. So we only put like a few skills in there, and there's also Act 2, so you don't have that many more skills compared to what you would have later on. But I guess that's it there, just sort of enough to show you, at least some of the basic stuff that you can do as a Huntress. We do have a lot of other like elemental spear attacks. Like we've got a lot of different throws. But this class, what it's kind of really about is sort of going into
like that. See, I want more of this. More lightning shit.
It's sort of going into and out of combat a lot. Like you charge in, you jump out, like
that
this kind of thing. And then you've got stuff that you can do from range. You've got stuff you can do from close. It's really about exploring that that sort of in and out kind of thing that it's got going on.
Your guerrilla tactics.
It's kind of the main thing that the Huntress is about.
All right. Okay. So to be honest, though, the Huntress is probably like I wanted to like it the most. But he did say, it's just Act 2, not a lot of skills yet. But it felt like the least impactful for me. Well, it might be one of those things where it's just, you have to play it to feel it. It's not so visually, you can't get too much out of the visuals. So, but yeah, I mean, other than but I'm just talking about like the basic stuff, right? The whirlwind field thing that you jump out of, little cute mechanics and combinations there. But the big thing for me was the lightning stuff. Like this is, I want more of this. Maybe that's when the Huntress will really come online and the fun will really, will be even more fun. The elemental attacks. But yes, overall, again, I'm so happy to see the Warrior. I'm kind of actually more excited. Among the three, I think Warrior and Warrior and Druid are kind of like, this is probably Warrior, this is Druid. I really like the, again, that crunchiness that they are now bringing into the melee classes with their skills. The new Sunder mechanics. So far I'm liking, and I guess that's why I didn't like the Huntress so much. He didn't really show us, I mean, he did, the whirlwind thing, you can jump out of it. But the interactions felt more shallow. I like the interactions that he showed more for the Warrior and the Druid. Right, so the Warrior, the Sunder mechanic seems really interesting. The exertion, how that plays into it. And I like how, at least for Druid and Warrior, they keep the same design philosophy, which is, things interact with each other, but they have their own flavor to them. So Druid has a lot more elemental and like primal stuff with transformations and the elemental attacks. Warrior has more the breaking the armor, slamming stuff on the ground, really powerful. A lot of fire effects as well. Charging up the attack for more like weighty attacks. So I like how these two classes have their own flavor to them when it comes to showing off or how it plays using the philosophy of interacting skills and elements and things like that. So this only makes me more hyped for the game, only makes me more excited for it, which sucks because it's coming out even later, or it's coming out next year, right? So not anytime soon. But yes, I guess it is a good thing though that it's coming out next year because there's still so much games to play this year, right? So we have time to marinate and just be excited. And I hope, in a weird way, this might sound bad to say for other gamers, but I hope nothing comes out next to Path of Exile 2. I kind of just want to no life this game for at least 2 weeks. I just want to focus on it and just grind it out as much as I can without having to worry about other games releasing close to it. But yes, one last time, the best just got better. That's it.